All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. If you would like to send me an email, same email for the past 30 years, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And if you'd like to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And for the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV, www.simultv.com. And in the search engine on the Simul TV main page, just type in X Zone and it will bring you right to our channel. Wow, the coronavirus. People are going crazy. Things are shutting down left, right, and center. Last night we had the travel ban put on Europe by President Trump. We had the cancellation of the NBA season, the NHL season. And, you've got all the leaders of the world out there working for their people. And what did our Prime Minister, of course I'm talking about Justin Trudeau, do today? Well, he put himself in isolation because he thinks his wife may have the coronavirus. Yeah. I called it the ostrich syndrome. Like, ostriches at least have the dignity to stick their head in the ground and leave their tush up in the air. But what does our Prime Minister do? Oh, he just runs and hides behind the skirt or under the skirt or within the skirt of his wife. Anyway, not very happy with you, Prime Minister Trudeau. My guest this hour, Exonation, is Michelle Payton, and she has eclectic professional background, and she focuses on clients, students, and communities finding their voices. Her mind over matter solutions training include Doctor of Clinical Hypnotherapy, Emotional Freedom Techniques, Neurolinguistic Programming, Acupressure Hypnosis, and Past Life Regression. Her academic work includes teaching college English and transfer success, a Master of Arts in English, a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communication Arts. Other studies include how personality patterns are influenced by astrology, numerology, and birth order. Her website, MichellePayton.com. And Michelle, welcome back to the X Zone.
It's great to be back.
How are things with the coronavirus affecting you, your family, and where you live?
I'm a college instructor, so we're just going through the whole idea of isolation, social distancing, and potentially changing the way we teach via online.
You're right.
So for the rest of the school year, and this is throughout North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina now. We were in Ohio when we first started working together. Yeah. The UNC chain of universities are in the process of making those online changes. So it's a statewide thing, but I know it's also a nationwide thing here in the States as well.
Well, my producer just handed me a note from the newsroom. Apparently, the province of Ontario is suspending all school activities. No more school for the kids in the province of Ontario Plus, the City of Toronto is contemplating closing down all public transport. That means the GO trains, that means the metro system, the subway system, and public transport. Wow. These are very strange and pressing times.
They really are. It changes by the minute, as you just mentioned.
It does, but I think that this can also be a very, not only challenging, but a very important way that we can adapt ourselves to new challenges and come out winners.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Now, you're a hypnotherapist, amongst other great things. You created something called positive hypnosis. Now, you say that this process is entrenched in how the brain learns through reassociation. Now, can you explain that, please?
I can. Maybe someone listening has had that well-meaning friend that says, maybe you should try what I did, exactly the way I did, and somehow it just doesn't quite turn out in the same way it turned out for a friend or an acquaintance. What we do is we learn through reassociation. So when we're learning through reassociation, that's the way the brain learns. That's the way it works. So the positive hypnosis concept uses the process of finding memories that someone can reuse. Because that is the way we learn. So we're swimming at the same current as the brain swims.
All right. Now, does this apply to people of every age, or does this just apply to let's really?
Every age. I've worked from 5-year-olds to 80-plus-year-olds.
Really?
Absolutely. Everyone has more. There are more and more experiences as we age, of course, but there are still memories that we can work from.
Now, how can this best be applied in today's society? For what use? And how would this process actually help people who are, let's say, in their elder years? Because some elderly people suffer from dementia, they suffer from Alzheimer's, they suffer from other diseases that affect their brain and their speech. And, I'm sorry, Craig, I promised you I wouldn't mention Joe Biden tonight. I'm sorry. Yeah. Cheap shot, sorry. So how could this help people?
Well, you make a very good point about can hypnosis work on someone who has problems with the brain working?
Right.
If there's a physical malady, for instance, someone wouldn't come to me and say, my arm is broken, can you work with mind over matter on that? I would say go see a medical doctor.
Exactly.
So there are certain things that we can do when we can help people find memories that they can reuse for a positive purpose. Well, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, wouldn't that be something that hypnosis can do? Because as I understand it, the information is still there. We just have to find a way or forget it to get it back to the place where it can be used.
Yes, and one of the objectives is, for instance, if someone, for instance, if someone has the goal to walk in balance, for instance, what we would be doing is we would go back and find those memories where someone, as far back as possible or recently, we would find memories, and they can just be 30-second clips or 10-second clips of when someone felt confident and could walk in balance. And we reuse those memories to rebuild confidence in self. To say, I did that, I can redo that because I have the brain memory to move in the way that I moved then. Now, are we going to, if we're in our, I'm almost 60 now. If I'm almost 60, am I going to be doing what I did when I was a young woman at 16 when I was playing sports? Probably not. but I can engage certain memories on how I moved and how I walked. I'm not looking to do a round off back handspring. I'm looking to put one foot in front of the other and look straight ahead and know how I did that and walk in balance. It's not for someone to tell me, Michelle, you have nothing wrong with you. We've done all the tests. We've done all the brain scans. There's nothing wrong with you. That's when someone would go to someone that works on this type of mind over matter plane to help them find. If there's not something that says you absolutely cannot walk because your bones are having issues, if we're past that and we're just rebuilding memories, that will help someone. And I have actually helped someone like that who rebuilt those pathways to remember how to walk in balance, for instance.
Now that is fascinating. And you and I will be talking more about this when we come back from the other side of this break. And by the way, CNN has now confirmed that the wife of the Prime Minister of Canada does, in fact, have the coronavirus. So we'll be checking through that throughout the next hour through the newsroom. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send an email, it's xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And for more information about our very special guest this hour, Michelle Payton, her website is michellepayton.com. That's MICHELLEPAYTON.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
You walk out on me when we both disagree, 'cause to reason is not what you care for. I've heard it all a million times before. A new day, a new day. I was waiting for so long for a miracle to come. Everyone told me to be strong. Hold on and don't shed a tear. Through the darkness and good times, I knew I'd make it through. And the world thought I had it all, but I was waiting for you. Hush.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. 10 minutes ago from our friends at CNN, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's wife tested positive for coronavirus. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, has tested positive for coronavirus, according to the statement from Prime Minister Trudeau's office. She is feeling well with only mild symptoms and will remain in isolation, the statement said. The Prime Minister has no symptoms but will be in isolation for 14 days, according to the statement. He is not being tested at this time because he is asymptomatic and will continue his duties as normal. All right, thank you very much for that, Craig. Our guest this hour is Michelle Payton, www.michellepayton.com. And she has 9 books under her belt so far. She does community collaborations, teaching, and has a private practice. And once again, her website is michellepayton.com. And Michelle, some people say that not everyone can be hypnotized. Is this true?
Well, just think of it when someone is driving.
Okay.
Any of your listeners are driving, for instance, if they drive. And then they just, all of a sudden, they turn left instead of right, or turn into the grocery store instead of the post office. That's called hypno-driving. So when the brain starts to relax, then we are actually moving into a state of hypnosis. But a state of hypnosis is connected to brain waves. So the brain waves are moving quickly when we're thinking and we're reasoning through things, or maybe we're angry, or just maybe our minds are busy. But when we can move into at the next level of state, it's called alpha. Doesn't matter if you remember that term, but you become a bit more relaxed, then you can find memories to reuse that could be 3 seconds long, 5 seconds long, and they're not big ahas. And that's the big mistake sometimes people make. They feel like there needs to be this big aha to solve a problem, and that's really not the case, because remember, we're reassociating with memories to reinvent patterns that we've used before that are productive that we want to use today.
Would it be safe to say that within the mind there is a massive filing cabinet, and all the information that you've ever accumulated through your life is in that filing cabinet? And through an expert like yourself in hypnosis, you can help the person who's being hypnotized open that filing cabinet to find the information that they need?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the one thing that I do some people want to spend time, one thing I can say is I don't spend time with my clients revisiting suffering. So what we do is someone might say, I don't want bad relationships in my life anymore. So then we change that into a core need, change the wording to say, I'm looking for good relationships in my life. And then what we do is we look for the memories when we've been able to have good relationships. Now, someone says, yeah, but that relationship went bad. That's where we crop out. We crop out, yeah, but it's like taking a photograph and cropping out the junky stuff. That's a technical term.
I've never heard that before.
We crop it out and we just use a few seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds of when it worked. And because there are times when things work, there's sometimes that they don't. But we're just using those things to reinstate that brain memory and muscle memory, really, to reuse it today. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes it sound as if you're an editor of memories.
Absolutely. Or they are editing what works for them. I am the facilitator that helps them find things, and then when they move into yeah, but I say, stop, rewind back to the positive piece.
No, that makes perfect sense. What has been your most challenging case that you have ever worked on? And at the end of it, when it's been successful, you have kind of said, you know what, I did it.
That has been over the years, and that probably the past 3 to 5 years, I decided that I would only, I spend time with people for about 15 or 20 minutes on the phone to decide even if I am the correct person for them. So if someone wants to do shadow work in past lives, for instance, shadow work meaning finding the terrible things because they feel like they're stuck because of a past life, I might say, here are 3 other people you might want to consider, but I look at past lives, the positive stuff, because guess what? Past lives weren't all crappy. Sometimes we did okay, right? Sometimes things were okay. So going back to your question, rewinding back to your question now, what was my most challenging? I think each client has his, her, their challenges. And to whittle down to any one of them, it's just a bunch of puzzle pieces that you can't write this stuff. It's so interesting, and people are so amazingly amazing, okay? So I don't even know what other word to use, that I get so caught up in their stories that each time we finally do something and we finish at the end 2 hours later, I think, wow, look at this. And so helping someone walk in balance, pretty cool. Helping someone who is my age, who goes back to university and it has testing anxiety and comes back with a very high grade and tells me, I'm ecstatic. So, and that's not just about a test grade, that's about a confidence thing that we work with too, right?
Sure.
So when someone has a problem, it's caught up in a lot of things that they have to revisit to say, well, really, I've solved this problem so many other times, and I can reuse this to solve problems today. Did I answer your question, Rob?
You did, but let me add on to it. What is the hardest problem that you face in most people?
I think the doubt at first, when they come in and they say, I just really doubt this process. So what I ask them to do is trust in the process just for a moment, because guess what? You're here. So you've taken the time out of your day. I've taken the time out of my day. Let's follow this process and see where it leads. So at first, if I have certain personalities that say, this is, I just have a lot of doubts, and then we gather these memories that fulfill this core need. I did have a good relationship. Oh, and I did this too. And it's not just with people, with animals too. Oh, look, this is how I worked with these animals. So there are all these buckets of things that show up. And then when I see those eyes light up like, oh my gosh, I get it. But it might take an hour. And that's where I'm saying, okay, Michelle, just stick with it. Just stick with the process. Stick with the process to help this client understand that they do have positive memories that they can reuse today and make a difference in their lives for the rest of their time in this body.
Now, you said that you could see in the patient's eyes. I thought when someone was hypnotized, they were in kind of a sleep state.
That's such a great point. And the answer is, from my perspective, because I work with a lot of people that may have been compromised in certain ways and feel insecure with their eyes being closed, that we can solve problems. Have you ever noticed how someone will not close their eyes, but they'll kind of squint, that they're looking at something, but they're looking at nothing?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have.
That's the kind of thing that we might do. And a lot of times, because we're in the alpha state, I don't want people to fall asleep, because I want them to remember every single thing that we did and understand how much personal power they have, and not to give their power away to a facilitator. And for a facilitator to say, oh, this is what you said and this is what you did. Right? Especially with people that have been compromised, you don't want to do that. You want them to have consciousness, but a consciousness to the point where they can find memories, and their eyes can be open when they do that. And that is a fallacy, that someone has to have their eyes closed to access memories is completely incorrect. And here's what I would say to you, Rob. Can you remember a time when you played a game with a friend and you just had a great time?
Sure.
There you go. You did it with your eyes open, right?
Yes, I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Now, what we do, however, when we're doing, if someone's self-facilitating, you stay on one subject. When you stay on one subject, your mind starts to focus on that subject, and you start finding memories that connect with that positive reinforcement.
All right, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Michelle Payton is our very special guest. Her website is www.michellepayton.com. And Michelle and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
So long for a miracle to come. Everyone told me to be strong. Hold on and don't shed a tear. Through the darkness and good times, I knew I'd make it through.
Trouble if you left me now, 'cause I don't know where to look for love. I just don't know how. Oh, girl, how I depend on you to give me love when I need it. Right on time, you would always be. All my friends call me a fool. They
Michelle Payton is our special guest explanation. www.michellepayton.com. Why is it that hypnosis at times has a bad connotation towards it? You know, is it because of the hypno shows that of the 50s and 60s, like with the Great Ravine, the man with X-ray eyes, Kreskin, that they turned it into a carny act, basically? And is that where the trust factor had to be rebuilt?
I believe so, and there's a difference between stage hypnosis and and one where we are working toward a goal, and that does make it. For instance, when my daughter was maybe 12 or 13, they had a stage hypnotist come into school, and she said, "Mom, I'm going to make sure that we really mess with this guy and make sure that he knows that he can't hypnotize us." And they all these kids left that day and said, what a ridiculous thing. It didn't work. It was dumb. And then they do things like have people quack like a duck on the stage to demonstrate things, and that doesn't look great for our industry.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. So how did that affect your daughter?
Interestingly enough, well, she knows that I've written books on the subject.
Right.
And she also knows that when we would focus, if she was having an issue or any of my working with family, anyone might say it's hard to work with family members. Your clients will listen, even your students will listen. Your family may not. But what I have been able to do from time to time when my teenagers and older adults want to listen to me because I'm their mother, why would they? have them reassociate with a memory. If they've lost something, for instance, when's the last time you saw it? When's the last time you felt those keys in your hand? When's the last time you used them? Oh, okay, I know where they are. That's literally what I'll do, and they don't even know what I'm doing.
Trust Mom. Two of the most important words in the world. Trust Mom.
I'm going to send this specific recording to them, what you just said.
All right, to Michelle's little children. 2 words. And take this from a dad and a granddad. Trust Mom. And in case you're not sure who I'm talking about, trust your mom, Michelle Payton. How is that?
Thank you, Rob.
You're more than welcome, Michelle. Michelle Payton, who has children who need to know that they can trust Mom. How's that for positive reinforcement?
It's perfect. It's perfect.
All right, I just found a new career. Say goodbye to radio. There we go. How is it that you can actually get a person to do what they think they cannot do, but it is the person themselves that you're getting to do what they think they can't do? For example, quit smoking.
Well, now that's a really interesting. There are a lot of people in my industry that work on the smoking idea, and there are a couple of ways to handle that. From a core needs standpoint, I've had parents call me and say, "Could you please have my son or daughter stop smoking?" And my answer is, your son or daughter need to call me, and I need to understand what is their motivation to stop smoking. So, for instance, I once had someone who was a chef, and the chef could taste food better if smoking was not a part of the equation. If it's a strong enough pull, then we find all of those times that the chef tasted food when the chef took a break from smoking. And if that's a high enough motivation, every time that person would want to smoke, that person would then remember, but I won't be able to taste this food better. I won't be able to taste this food better. I won't be able to taste this food better. So it depends on each individual. It's not just about saying, stop smoking, you will do something terrible will happen to you. Most of the time smokers are not thinking about that because actually smoking is an antidepressant. So when you take smoking away from people, they can become anxious and depressed. So how's that for terrible positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah, it doesn't sound very smart to me. And I've got to be
forget about that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you can taste the food. No, but you know what I'm saying. It's tasty food, or I want to breathe more deeply. When I'm not smoking, I can. When I'm walking, we have them remember them when they walked and would breathe much more easily after not smoking because they didn't smoke all the time.
Yeah.
They just smoked at a certain time. Make
So,
sense?
Yes and no, and I'll tell you why I say yes and no. I understand where you're coming from. You know, you're going back into the memory and you're taking little sound bites of the area to reinforce what the person wants changed. You're basically saying, you've done this before, you can do it again. It's up to you.
Yes.
But when it comes to the person's own desire that, I really don't want to do it. You know, the ultimate responsibility, if I understand things right, is with the patient.
Sure.
All you're doing is you're pointing it out that they've done it in the past and they can do it again. The choice is ultimately theirs.
It is, because who am I to tell someone that they're not supposed to smoke? I mean, for all I know, or the universe knows, whatever your following is, whatever you look to, you may be that one person that should be smoking. So sometimes people want me to make a decision for them. But at the end of the day, it's about how they move through their lives and what they really want from it. I'm a facilitator,
right,
not a decision maker on other people's lives.
Unless it's one of your children, and then you are their mother who they must trust.
Oh, that's such a deep... That'll be another show, I think.
All right, so a person, you've had this person... Let me ask you, how do you get them into the state of mind where they're willing to work with you? Is this hypnotic state?
Good question. So what we do first is we have them, we re-identify what the core need is from a positive perspective.
Okay.
Then what we do is, as a facilitator, I ask the client, and we can get on another subject. Let's think of something really elevating for you. What is something that you really want more for? I'm thinking you're a grandparent.
Yep.
And we could draw from those memories. If you're moving in a circle, you say, I'm not feeling happy, and I don't know why. We would find, okay, when have you felt happy? And then what we would do is we would probably be gathering a lot of memories about your grandchildren, for instance. And it could be grandchildren heavy. It could be guest heavy. If you had a couple of guests that you particularly enjoyed, it could be other relationships that you have. But being happy, then what we do is we pull from those memories. You pull from those memories, but you have to remember them. And how do I help you do that? We anchor them with one or two words so that you remember them. So we'll find 6 to 12 memories, and we find 6 super, super strong ones. We anchor them with one or two, neurolinguistic programming, right? Anchoring. We anchor those, and then you have one or two words, and then you can say those 2 words, and that memory comes up immediately.
Fascinating. Truly fascinating.
It does take also, I mean, honestly, what I also do is I summarize after I work with the clients those 2 words and a little bit of soundbite, because I can't be in their heads, but I can play back those anchors so that they can reaccess them.
You and I have to take our final break, so please stand by. Michelle, it's always great talking to you. Congratulations on all the wonderful things that you've done, your books, the people that you've helped, the people that you've been able to touch in very special ways. And thank you for being on the show again. It's always great talking to you.
Thank you.
So you don't go away. We'll be right back after this commercial break. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about Michelle, or maybe you'd like to contact her, visit her website at www.michелlepayton.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. After all, this is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, and Simul TV.
In the morning, and it looks like it's gonna be another sleepless night. I've been listening to your dreams and getting very low, wondering what I can do. Maybe I'm being foolish, 'cause I haven't heard you mention anybody's name at all. How I wish I could be sure it's me that turns you on. Each time you close your eyes, I've heard it said that dreamers never lie. You've been talking in your sleep, sleeping in your dreams with some sweet lover, holding on so tight.
Michelle Payton is my special guest this hour, Exonation. Her website is www.michellepayton.com. First of all, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. It's always great talking to you. And as Crystal Gale was talking, singing in the song over there, Talking in Your Sleep, appropriate, wasn't it? How do you know if the person that you're talking to, who you're working on, is being honest with you?
Well, I have to trust that is what's happening. I mean, that at the end of the day, there's a point where if someone wants to make changes or replace patterns, then they walk in honestly, and they're willing to do the work to get there. I don't have a better answer than that.
That's why I like honesty.
No one's really ever asked me that, Rob. You're so clever.
Sorry. Trust Mom.
Trust Mom.
There's people listening to us around the world right now, and I'm sure many of them would love to have the opportunity of getting the help that you offer. And I would imagine that you do long-distance consultations using the different various systems on the computers like Skype. Is there anything people can do at home or by themselves to try and enrich their lives using some of the techniques that you've developed?
Yes, and it's very, very easy. So first, we talked about at the very beginning about the idea of core need.
Yeah.
The natural thing to do is to say what we don't want. So be okay with that, but look at that, what don't you want? And then I'd like you to turn it around and turn it into, what is that thing? What is that one subject that you're focusing on? Is it relationship? Is it finances? Is it physical? What is it? But stay on that one subject. When we start moving into that one subject, then we can start jotting down. If you're an audio learner, you can speak into your phone and brainstorm. If if you like to write, then you could do it that way. But we're looking at rehabits. So as soon as your mind starts to see, oh, here's something positive, then they don't deal with a block. Because if we say we don't want something, the amygdala blocks us from reasoning up at the front of the brain. We want to focus on that positive core need and then start to fish in the mind for just a few things. So you'd say, for instance, we talked about things to make, I want to be happier every day. Okay, remember a time when you went, just for a moment, you were holding the hand of your grandchild. Just for a moment, remember the time that the first smile that you saw of one of your children. The things that come quickly are the easiest, go for the lowest hanging fruit for those things. So say we have 6 of those re-habits. We know that we want to be happier daily, and then we recreate those memories, and then we anchor them. First smile, hold hand, and we have these quick snippets, these sound, like you say, sound bites that are only 1 or 2 words, and then we reuse those, and we go to, so now we say, I have this problem, and you say, I am just feeling terrible every day, and so now we remember a day where you're feeling terrible. You have to be specific, and then we collapse it with what I call the solution. So the problem is, I'm not feeling all that great today. I'd like to be happier. So then the solution will be, you go to those strongest anchors, holding grandchild's hand, first smile, first giggle, the giggle of certain people that just make you happy when you hear them giggle, those sorts of things. All of a sudden, you will start to automatically feel lighter. Now, I'm giving you a specific example. These examples run deeper, but you can do this at home very easily, literally in less than a half an hour, just basic, to start practicing it. When you first do this, don't go too deep. Go with things that are easier at first. It's irritating, maybe a little bit makes you mad, but start with those so that you get in the practice of using this, and then you can dive deeper into things that are really, really bothering you once you know how to do the process. Does that make sense?
It certainly does. It certainly does. I read something in the information you sent us. You talk about cropping the yeah butt. New glasses, old age. What can I tell you? Trust, Mom.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
How do you do that? Is that what we're talking about? Is using the sound bites?
It is. It really it's really, I mean, you can definitely, Rob, you can see this. That sound bites are what you're doing. You're saying as soon as you move into yeah, but you crop it. You stop it. And you just rewind back to that place that says, I was holding the hand. Oh, my grandson fell. Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, but go back to when you were holding the hand. It doesn't mean that doesn't exist. It just means that that's not what we're reusing for this purpose. Does that make sense?
It does. So what you're doing, if I understand right, is you're taking the negative, quickly going into a rewind, finding that little sound bite that is positive, that brings a smile onto your face, and carry on.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It takes practice. So start small and then work into deeper issues later once you have this process down. But literally, I think your listeners could really just use this and literally do it when they're done listening to your program.
We looked at your website, and you've got a lot of free training videos on a lot of what you've covered. Tell us more about your website and how our listeners can benefit by going to it.
Well, I have a lot of free training on videos, particularly on how the brain works. You can just look under education. There's positive hypnosis and brain physiology. It's kind of what we talked about today, and that will give people a little bit more background. It really becomes like, oh, yeah, okay, I get that. And once we know how the brain works, things really shift for us. We realize just how much influence we have over ourselves when we understand that. So those are all no cost. Now, I have other things. I do online training that people can do as well if they want to go deeper, and that as well for a very modest fee. But there's a lot of free stuff on my site.
We have about 2 minutes left. What would you like to share with the world tonight? What is your final thought? My
final thought, you have more control over your life in this really weird, uncontrollable situations that we've been talking about on the show, even at the beginning, and about the crazy things that are going on right now. But you have control over your mind and how you view it. So and it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just means that you can create calm in a time of chaos.
I just had a thought. This would be a wonderful technique for parents to teach their children who are going to school, facing stress, the social atmosphere, and just growing up. This would be wonderful for parents to teach.
Agreed. I do have a very short positive hypnosis book that's maybe 60, 70 pages, just taking step by step as well. If people like to use writing as well as audio, as well as the video that I have on my website.
I didn't write a book on positive reinforcement like you have, but I wrote a 1-page little note that my kids got the message very fast. Daddy said so. Trust mommy.
Dad.
No. Trust mom, but daddy said so.
Got it. That's where we're creating that line.
Michelle, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to the next time that you join us back here in the X Zone. Until then, take care, my friend. Stay well, and safe travels.
Thanks, Rob.
Good night, Michelle. At X Zone Nation, if you'd like to get more information about Michelle and all the wonderful offers she has on her website, or maybe you'd like to contact her for a one-on-one consultation, or maybe you'd like to buy one of her 9 books, visit her website at www.michellepayton.com, and that's www.michellepayton.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. Keep listening to the X Zone and our affiliates for the latest news pertaining to closings of the of events as well as venues as the coronavirus raises its ugly head throughout the United States, Canada, and around the world. Take care of each other out there, my friends. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.
Each time you close your eyes, I've heard it said that dreamers never lie. You've been talking in your sleep.